inside my heart a little while. Come closer with the honey of your song. Your dance is a code, is a pathway to what's given.
Good morning, good afternoon. Hi, Dorte. Welcome. We lose Antonia?
Come inside my heart a little
Let's
while.
get up and do a little warm up while we're waiting for the rest of our
From you
people.
comes the honey of my song, tender
Pass
to
it.
the tendrils, blooming
I'll
color,
lead,
taste, and
and then I'll
longing
pass
for
it.
you who kiss the petals of my reach. Our minds send us farther than our legs can carry us.
I'm
But
passing
your
you. Simple, repetitive.
flight weaves the membrance of our step. So we give our voices, to the ones who've left us. So we give our voices to the ones who cry in silence. So we give our voices, to the ones whose speech is running under soil beneath. So we give our voices, to the ones who left us. So we give our voices to the ones who cry in silence. So we give our voices, to the ones whose speech is running under soil beneath.
Alyssa!
Subtle as your flutter beat, long beat, run beat, hum.
Everybody take a moment with yourself. Warm up the back of your body. Breath.
Hum inside my heart a little while.
All right. Beautiful. So I would like to ask that somebody send a quick call to Antonia, who was on the Zoom and seems to have disconnected. Mariah, will you do that? Thank you so much.
Exciting to see, Dorte. Yeah.
We are going to record today so that so many of you who've said you can't make it can hear the teachings of this dear, brilliant woman, a peer, a colleague. There's Antonia. Alyssa Newland, who I have met through my husband, Mark Gerzon. They work together in the Mediators Foundation. And what's become very clear is Alyssa brings so much enthusiasm and value and skillful means to organizations that are in the process of becoming more visible and more relevant in the global stage. So welcome, Alyssa. We're so glad you're here for Golden Girls Global, and we're going to learn together. Welcome, Antonia. So happy to see you, sweetie. And before we go very far, we're going to just take a beat and let each one of us say our name, what the initiative is that you're working with, and a word, no more than 3, of how you're showing up today. So in that spirit, Sarita, would you model for us a check-in?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Hi to those who are not here yet or on this call, and welcome, Melissa. I'm Sarita. My pronouns are she, her, and I am here in service to the Golden Girls Global Initiative. I think 3 words of what's I'm feeling curious and excited and humble.
Okay.
A lot to learn here in this space.
Before you pass it, is there the name of something that you are birthing into the world that is already here? Is something that's kindred and beloved to Golden Girls, but it's all about Sarita Rivard Guerrero.
Yeah, I have my life work project that has been kind of beginning to emerge in a parallel universe, and that's Puente Pachamama. It's a project I've been working on for like 15 years and has had many iterations, and I've really been training and kind of incubating my learning and my visioning for a long ride here within the Golden Bridge Golden Girls Global Space, while kind of tending the ember of that project. Yeah, and it's getting closer, I guess. I hope. Okay. Mariah.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Mariah. Also in the Golden Girls global scene in and out, and working on a fertility support program. And I am feeling okay. And yeah, interested and relaxed. Antonia.
Antonia, sweetie, can you hear us?
Yeah, it's coming in and out.
Okay, we're so glad to see
My name,
you.
can you guys hear me? Okay, it's so like every time I have a council, it kind of cuts out. I cry if that happens today because it happens at a time when people and the network gets really busy. So sometimes it just cuts out and I can't come back in. But my name is Antonia. Currently, I am not working with girls, but with older women and young mothers. I work with different, let's say, lodges, like holiday places that are a lot in Namibia, where we train grassroots level entrepreneurs. So I go into communities, I train them, we help them run their businesses and so on. And today I'm showing up. I don't know. I'm just showing up. Yeah.
Good to see
And
you.
I will pass it to Dorte.
Let's also say where we're calling in from today. Thank you.
Oh, I'm calling in from Namibia in Southern Africa.
Hi everyone, I'm Dirta and I'm calling in from Spain, from Mallorca. And I'm feeling stretched thin, on edge, but really happy to be here, very interested. And I founded the Embodiment School for Women. I don't work with girls right now, mainly moms and women in transitions. I love working with the menstrual cycle. I have another business called Weaving Cycles. So I'm self-employed. I don't work for an organization. And I'm passing it on to Dorcas.
Thank you, Dorta. I want to just welcome, I think this might be an Opijata person based on the logo. I see we have someone called Zoom user, and I just want to make sure that we've got you. You feel us feeling you. Is this Emily or Yolanda? Who's here with us? We'll see.
Shannon, come, let us see you.
This is Yolanda.
Yay. Hi, sweetie. Welcome. Do you want to
Hi.
check in real quick? How are you? Where are you? What you're up to? Let us hear your voice, and then we'll come to you, Dorcas.
All right. Yeah, I'm Yolanda Swally. I am calling from Roswell, New Mexico. What I'm working on, gee, everything. um, my main focus is taking care of my parents, and just having a decent place to kind of live. I have a lot of part-time places to live at the moment. So yeah, just trying to function there. And then the best stable thing in my life right now is probably my part-time job. I'm a caregiver, and that is probably the most rewarding thing at the moment in my life. Yeah, just surviving, just trying to stay happy and trying to keep my mom happy. And yeah, and going through some mourning. I lost my sister-in-law, and that's about it. That's what I'm going through, and how I'm feeling. It's just getting by.
We're so happy to have you with us. It's been such a good long time, but we also know you're tracking your beautiful project, Upijata, in Pine Ridge, and your daughter's carrying it, but we hold you and that project close within this space too, Yolanda.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Hope to see you soon. So we now have Dorcas, who hasn't had a chance to check in.
Hi, everyone. Hello, can you all hear me?
Hi, Dorcas. We hear you.
Hi. Yes. Sorry, I'm just coming in right now. What are the prompts for the check-in?
You're muted, Melissa.
Your project, what you're up to, your work on the ground related to this work. 3 words, how you are, up to 3 words, and where are you calling from?
Thank you, Melissa. I'm calling from Ghana, Accra, Ghana, and I'm well. I'm grateful. And currently, what I'm working on is I'm working with an inclusive school, working mostly with neurodiverse kids, and working, holding spaces for young adolescents who are neurodiverse. So that's what
I
I'm
wanted to make
directly
sure I was
working on
muted.
right now. Thank you.
Melissa, you're muted again.
Erica Liams, we're so glad you popped in. Can you introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll pass it to Alyssa.
Yeah, hey, glad I could make it for part of the session. I'm Erica. I use she, her pronouns. I'm in Colorado, central United States. And feeling the tide, my 3 words. And I think my primary focus, what seems like I'm most gravitated towards is how this work comes into systems, institutions. And yeah, glad to be in the presence of mighty companions on the path. I'll pass it to Alyssa.
Restorative justice, just so you know, this one works in.
Nice.
Thank
Oh,
you.
awesome. Well, thanks everyone. Hi, I'm Melissa Newland, and I'm really honored to be here today. Thank you, Melissa, for inviting me. It's just extremely refreshing to see all of you working in your different ways across the world. I come from an international development background and worked at the grassroots level and co-founded the Girl Icon Fellowship Program in India, and spent about 7 years there. And now we started with 12 girls and we're at several thousand. So I really resonate with all of you and the work that you're doing with women and girls at different ages, and you're all doing such interesting interceptions, different ways of working with them too, which I think is incredible. So I'm located in Chapel Hill, North Carolina in the US. How am I feeling? Again, I think I kind of said I'm feeling honored, and I'm feeling really nostalgic and excited to work with you all, because I love Mediators Foundation, and I work with Better Together America and trying to galvanize communities, but being able to work with all of you reminds me of how wonderful working with Girl Icons has always been. So and I think that should do you want to take it, Melissa, or?
No, we're just grateful that you're here, and we're going to learn from you. And everything that Alyssa's going to share is somehow applicable to each of us wherever we are. And we may not be on the fast track, and we may not be on the same exact runway, but let's listen in and see how this person who grew up in a very alternative way, doing really, really important, humble work on the planet, also knows how to play in the fast lane, and what we can learn from you about that. Thank you, Alyssa.
Sure, yeah. Oh, and my project, my baby is Better Together America, I would say, which is a galvanizing communities to all do their own thing. It's a very similar model to the Girl Icon Fellowship Program, but just in the US. So
very similar to Golden Girls Global model too. It's all you.
It's all me. Okay. All right. Well, so today I've been asked to, something that's really near and dear to me is what I realized about after years I worked in Thailand with girls and service workers, and then I worked in India for years in several different organizations, but the Girl Icon Fellowship is what I co-founded. So is amplifying the work of other people. I don't love being the face, and you'll see some examples of which and where I felt I was forced to be the face. I'll just say I prefer to be the person that is behind and helping lift people as best as I can. And so I think there's a lot, I would prefer the stories be told about the people that are, coming from different backgrounds than my own. So what I have for today is basically an overview of, and we'll see where we go depending on, I'd like to know more about each of you and where you are in your own journeys. It sounds like you're all, definitely, again, doing different things, but that you have your own projects. You probably have you probably promote it or go towards visibility in some way. And I want to start by saying that whenever I speak to people like yourselves who are change makers and they're amplifying other people, I usually get some pushback on, amplifying your own narratives. And usually people say something to the effect of, well, I don't like to talk about myself. I'd rather talk about the people that I work for, really. And I'm here to say that there's a middle ground. You amplifying your own work and your own voice is actually extremely important and can really help your work. It can help all the people that you work with. And it's also something that you can work with the people that you are working with, depending on whether they're young mothers or they're adolescent girls or whatever, in different ways. And I have taught workshops in rural India with girls and I speak poor Hindi, but and that has been a great value for them because they're able to actually talk and use it. I think TikTok was the platform they really liked using at that point. But I also hear a lot of pushback about, well, social media, I don't want to use that, especially in this era of trusted information. Such a large population, such a large portion of the world population uses social media as a news source. So that's why it's even more important that you put your voice out there, to kind of help drown out some of the stuff that we're seeing. So today I'd like to go over a couple of these platforms, kind of get to see where you guys all are and see how far we can get with that. There's been a dramatic shift, I would say, in platform use and cross-channel use, depending on the state of where we are, and also depending on your locality. So some of the data that I'm going to share with you is US based. I want to say that. And so it really depends. Some of you might say, again, well, all my people, I can see them using TikTok. So it'll be different per person. But the main thing I want you to take out is the importance of building your own narrative and being able to put yourself forward as the amazing women that you all are, or humans that you all are. So, and again, as I said, even though I did start out, I wasn't willfully the face. I have been able to use that later on in life so that I can help other people and promote other people, because it gives a certain value, gives your voice more weight when you have that. And I don't think I'm very in my heart and soul against silos and about fighting over, beneficiaries. And this is something I've seen a lot with international development. I'm very passionate about international development groups coming in and scooping up grassroots people, walking over grassroots work. And it's happened to me, it might have happened to you. And that's, again, another reason why it's so important that you're able to say, I'm here and I do all this great stuff, and talk about yourselves. So in whatever way is comfortable to you, and it will look different probably for everyone. So with that said, I'd like to go ahead and drop in the, I'm not sure if you guys usually, so what I have is a Google Doc, and it has some more information, and it will hopefully help you follow along a little bit and contribute at different points per what you think makes sense. So naturally, I just lost it, of course. Let's see. Do Sarita or Melissa or Mariah, do you have the link that I just dropped in? Oh, never mind. I think I have.
It's yeah.
It's still on the right.
Are you good? Are you good?
Yes, I'm good. I have too many tabs open. Like you all, probably, I am doing way too much work and not being paid enough, as you probably all can resonate with. So, but that's the path I've chosen. So I'm very lucky to be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this link and put it in here. And I would really encourage you all to speak out, and as we go, and there might be certain questions or things that you want to dwell on for a little bit longer. These are some, so I'll go over this briefly with you, and I will continue to populate this with resources, especially if you share more on your organization and the country that you're hailing from, then I can also specifically target it more towards that. I start with a welcome letter. I say nonprofit X. So are you all able to see? Okay, cool. So basically, that's just me saying that I'm very happy to have you and honored for you to have me. And then here are some links that kind of showcase my personal branding, or how I put my narrative into the world. Melissa? Did you raise your hand? Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm
Thank you.
noticing people are requesting edit. I just don't know what they're requesting.
Oh, okay. So you don't need to edit. So actually, well, you do need to edit it actually. So let me go ahead and give people edit access.
Do you want people to edit it?
Yes, because so what the first thing is the welcome letter with some more information about me. I don't recommend you open up the YouTube links right now or you'll hear me talking again doubly. But the second one is something I'm going to go over about how you can use LinkedIn, which a lot of people overlook as a platform. And to give you a little bit of background there, my ex-husband worked for LinkedIn for years, the top salesman in Asia. And so I ended up spending a lot of time on LinkedIn. And I also worked and helped him develop his first startup on LinkedIn and developed him as he became a thought leader, which is why he was scooped up by LinkedIn. So I've seen it be extremely powerful tool. And I think a lot of people don't jump to LinkedIn because they think, well, it's a boring CV database or something. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And then the next tab is engaging in this discussion. So that's kind of going to be what I'm going to ask you to kind of, when we can, fill out this portion. So that's the edit portion. And then the channel overview is basically, we're going to talk a little bit about these different channels. And the LinkedIn template, if we get to it, is going to be basically us trying to have unique and interesting narratives and fill this out and kind of brainstorm. And then the social media channel use is some facts about how different social media channels are used with resources by different age groups, by different, different people, what are people looking for? For instance, I highlighted some portions like that LinkedIn is used as a professional channel, and it tends to be used by millennials and older. So that means people who are in their early 30s through, I think, late 40s. And then the last one is I'll be using the LinkedIn profiles to review. So with that, I'd like to start off and do a little bit of a open it up for questions about me and my work or anything that I do, and then I'll ask some questions about you guys. It could be anything from how many cats do you have, Alyssa, which the answer's 4, to what was your favorite place in India, or why are you doing this work? Or what has been the most interesting part of this work? Or what has been, what has been your title throughout most of that, or your role?
Alyssa, I think one thing that might be helpful for all of us is just a short beat, because I can feel we want to get into the meat of this.
Okay.
Much so, but wait, a short beat on, just remind us why it's important to promote
sure.
work. And
Yes.
as much as none of us, I can imagine, love that part of the project.
Yeah,
But
not at all.
just how it's like just part of, you got to eat your grains.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's eat your grains. I think like whenever I have to make a bio, instinctually I recoil. When I made the bio for you all, I was like, oh no, you have to talk yourself up. You have to say good things about yourself. And it's kind of sad that lots of us recoil from that, because we should be able to talk and toot our own horn. And I think women especially, we struggle with that. And, so I think that the reason why, so with all of you having these very interesting and diverse initiatives across the world, it's very important for several reasons. One, I imagine you want funding, and you're trying to get funders in different ways. And that could be, it depends on, you could have a massive organization where you're looking for millions, and this applies across the board. Or you could have a small, you just want some money to help you with your center or whatever. And so people need to know who you are. They need to know that there's a reason why they can trust you. So your tone and your voice that you put across is something that people need to see and trust and feel is genuine. And you are representing, you have taken on, I guess, the responsibility of representing these groups of people that you're working with. Again, probably some of them don't have access to the technology or support that you do, or that I do. And so it is, and hopefully as you continue to work and maybe become more experts in this area, you can start helping them to do that. But in order to get funding, I'll tell you straight, they need to see who you are. They need to see, unfortunately, how you're measuring your work. They need to see, like, if you're going to get a major donor, and I always say the Gates dilemma. People always say, well, let's get Gates to give us money. And I always say, well, that's going to be really hard and it's going to take years. But one of the first things you can do towards that is put yourself out there. And this is probably the baby step. You know, going to conferences, meeting people, all that stuff. Those are all additional steps that, you know, hopefully you can build towards. But the first thing that you can do is put yourself out as a thought leader and talk about some of the work that you have done, as well as, and this is a key thing, the work that the people you're working with have done. So you can amplify their work by being a voice that people listen to. And to do that, social media is your friend. And there's a lot of different ways depending on your own personal branding or everything. But my personal branding, for instance, is I do not talk about politics. The reason why is because if I do, I could lose a grant in the US, right? And so that's why I shared my Twitter profile so that you could see. I share about my research, I share about other stuff, but I do not comment on things because people will do their due diligence. And so if they do their due diligence and they see nothing on you, they are going to say, well, I'm not sure why. The other thing is that, you know, brands, visibility, funders, they're all looking for someone that will, unfortunately, they are looking for someone that will add value to their own organization. And if they don't think that you are promoting yourself or your work, then there's not a lot of value for them there. They could give you a small grant, you know, as a part of kind of a generous, them thinking they're generous, a micro grant. But what you really want to do is, again, put yourself out there as, look, I'm somebody that, you know, you should take seriously. I will promote, I will thank you, and in front of everyone, and I will be the face that you can put forward. And I'll give you an example. When I was working in remote India, and I lived in Lucknow for years, which the country itself, or the province itself, basically, is so populated that at the time when I did my talk, if you were to take it based on population alone, it would be the 5th largest country in the world. You know, you're fighting also against for resources in terms of the people that work around you. And I don't want to say fighting because it should be collaborating as much as possible. You are stronger together, and the more you can get other organizations, and that's another thing visibility will do for you, is help you to consolidate. Because another thing funders love is when there's more than one person. There's more than one group that is working together. So I applied for a grant from Facebook for Good, and also Oculus, and I had a bunch of girl icons who are amazing. Ronnie does karate and wants to be a police officer. And, you know, I had one girl that biked 10 kilometers to school every day, Rajni. And so we had great girls that we were working with. We didn't get the grant. Malala Fund got the grant. Oh, thank you, Erica. Yeah, so let me, if you don't mind, I'll quickly go through this. When, I don't know if many of you probably all know Malala Fund, I'm guessing. So the thing is, they have visibility. I have never seen Malala. Malala doesn't have a program that's on the ground in India. Unfortunately, I will tell you that. So what happened is they came to us and they said, for a small portion of this grant that we have, can you please feature one of your girl icons? We'll slap our branding on. And so I worked for a year on a 360 film, and that just had Malala on it. I doubt Malala ever saw it. And when I presented at Women Deliver, there was my film branded with Malala, or there was Ronnie's film branded with Malala Fund, and we got nothing. So that's a perfect example from my perspective in terms of visibility. It gets you places, but unfortunately, and getting to Malala level is difficult, but you don't have to be at Malala level, just you have to be able to tell your story. So Erica, to your question, yeah, this is a scary one for me, because when I was in Asia, and I'll comment on business to this group, on politics to this group, Trump had just gotten elected, and it was scary then because he started restricting grants. And now I think that in terms of the US, I think that there's a lot of wonderful international organizations that you should be focusing on rather than the US at this point in time. And I would say that, yeah, that's a great question about cooperative business structures. So another big thing that I say to people is that you have the traditional NGO. Oh, are you saying?
Alyssa, I'm actually tracking the people who may be watching this recording. Would you mind reading the
Oh, of
questions
course.
that
Yeah, I'm
folks
sorry.
allow so that they can follow? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarita. So Erica asked a really great question. Your thoughts on how US will move forward with international development now? I guess without being political, which I was a little bit political, just curious if you see this correlation of promoting work with any cooperative business structures you might have seen had success. And so the first part is international development, I think, is a little bit in crisis right now. And the answer to that, from my perspective, is I think we should be looking elsewhere. And that hopefully that we will see people taking up that gap. But I do know a lot of people that are gathering together in the US to actively rebel and try to build the structures that we've unfortunately had torn down back. So then about the correlation of promoting work with any cooperative business structures. So that's an excellent question. You have the traditional nonprofit NGO structure, right? Which I say, unfortunately, it often becomes begging. That's just how it feels to me, especially if you're dealing with foreigners and then you come, and I've had some ridiculous questions asked of my co-founder who's Indian and no money. So it's an ongoing struggle, and it just feels it's a scarcity complex that, you're always trying to either do grants or major donors, and then you this disappointment, ups and downs of, will I get this or will I not? Do people like me? But the second thing that I highly recommend whenever possible is a social enterprise model. Social enterprise model tells businesses or tells funders that you are able to try and support yourself. You're able to add in some income. So there's two things. One, funders like to see, again, collaborative efforts. And I wish more people would realize this, because I know on the ground there's, again, this ongoing fight for resources. But if you can do joint proposals with people that are around as much as you can, that again is far more lucrative because they see more bang for their buck. The second thing is that if you're able to do anything, a really good example that I love is there's a Sari Bari in in India, Melissa, seems like you know Sari Bari.
I don't.
Okay, Sari Bari is out of, I think when it was out of Kolkata, but what they do is they take old saris and then they make them into products and then they sell them. And as you can imagine, foreigners love that and they're able to make quite a bit of money. Cotopaxi also does something like that, and they're what's referred to as a B corporation. So these B corporations in the US, and I think they're international, they have decided that they, in order to be qualified as such, they have to give a certain percentage of money and they have to have a certain image that says, look, we're going to help people out. So I encourage B Corp collaboration, as well as, if at all possible, if you can incorporate in your model, your business model, a social enterprise element where maybe you are selling the products women are making, and I'm happy to give more examples of that on this document later. So that's, I can't stress enough how much the social enterprise model. Another example of that is Anudeep and iMerit, which is the first company I worked for in India. And what they have is it's run by a husband and wife. The wife runs the social enterprise arm and the husband runs the nonprofit arm. So they train in tech. And there was a really wonderful center that was all women being trained. It was a secretive center that I would go to. And then what happens is the social enterprise employs them. So that they have gotten a ton of awards, a ton of recognition, which helps the NGO arm. So thank you for that question, Erica.
I just want to say, in the Golden Girls space, we have spent years talking about using the womb kits as a model.
Yes.
There's so many things that we've all been doing on the ground, and if we would actually have the time and the resource, we could turn it into products, curriculum that would have a global attraction. Some of these things the ship has already sailed. We're kind of behind the 8 ball now because it's happened elsewhere. And our
I know that is.
EcoFem in South India, they do an exquisite job of.
EcoFem's another great example. Yeah.
They're really good friends. Yeah. So this is just, we're sitting on gold here, y'all, if we ever chose to go forward.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
And the curriculum is another example. So if you were to take these type of things and actually use them, another example is big INGOs like WaterAid will come in and say, look, we have these resources for you. You can train your girls on how to use water. I also worked a lot with menstruation and training in Northern India. And then you'll say, well, great, that's fantastic. I'm a tiny guy who's working with people and who've never seen cars before. And then they'll say, well, it's only $20,000. I mean, I'm paid in rupees here, so I'm making 6,000 per year. I don't know where we're going to find that money. And so if you're able to market this type of curriculum at a better price range, that would not only help the larger community, but also, kind of fight a little bit against these guys that are marketing, that have these fancy resources. Because personally, I don't think we need them. I think we can make great curriculum, because I know you're a group of fantastic, amazing people that are doing stuff in all different areas. And imagine if you were to put all that together. So you probably have programs, you probably have do trainings, and to put all of that together would be something special that would be very marketable, in my opinion. So any other questions before and these are really great questions. Thank you, everybody. I love that you went directly for the great questions. Yeah, please, Antonia.
Hi, Alyssa. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I wanted to ask, how did you end up in the space that you are? How did you start with this work? And then I was reading up a bit about Better for America. And then when it comes to the international spaces, how does your work play into, let's say, our communities?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that question. I always knew that I wanted to work communities that are traditionally stigmatized or face bias. And so as soon as I graduated after from college in the US, I left immediately, and I taught for several years in Thailand. And while I was doing that, I worked several jobs, and I also started working with service workers or sex workers in Bangkok. So I developed the curriculum by the International Labor Organization, I believe, and I would go in to their places of work because they couldn't afford to take time off. And I would go in and train them. And then I ended up again developing this curriculum and continued to work with them when I moved to India. And while I was in India, again, I quickly realized that I didn't want to be the whole time, I don't believe in parachuting in. I don't think that, as a foreigner in whatever country I'm in, I'm just parachuting in. And I really feel strongly that if you're going to actually work in international community, you need to live there. You need to learn the language. You need to actually be. So the reason why I left Thailand is because I didn't feel like that was I loved the people I was working with. But in India, I found all my friends and my community, and I didn't actually hang out with expats, which is a trap a lot of relief workers fall into. And so, when you're doing that, you've paid what people are paid. I actually asked for pay reductions twice, and people were appalled that I did that. But when I learned how much people were paid, it's not acceptable if the NBA is getting more than me. Hi, Erica. So who I ended up marrying, and I'm still good friends with him. In terms of the work that I'm doing now for Better Together America, I came back here because after years of working with Girl Icon and Milan Foundation, and again, feeling I'm on the advisory board, but feeling like I'd really done a good job, and the girls, like my entire team, everyone, my co-founder is Indian. I'm the only one. I learned English because the girls wanted to speak with me. And I always say that there must be some database of selfies in India of me everywhere, because the word for white girl is gori ladki. And so I was like this weird ghost that people would be freaking out that I would appear places. So I would learn it because I wanted to speak with people. But what I noticed were some major holes, and I talked about some of them earlier, but one of them was the lack of, so I'm very against siloing. And I think that there's a major problem with practitioners aligning with academics. So I referenced measurements earlier. Unfortunately, most of us can't afford a monitoring and evaluation person. It would be great. That would be awesome. But a monitoring evaluation person is somebody who actually, monitors your program and is able to say, okay, we did X amount of things, and then you can report to your donors, and you can report to people and put that information out besides your own narrative. And that's what they need to see, that in order for them to be able to justify that they're giving you money. And so not only that, but I also think it's very important to co-build whatever program you're doing with your beneficiaries or your stakeholders. So I co-built the Girl Icon Fellowship Program with all the girls, which meant that after each training, we would go over, they would talk and dissect it and stuff like that, and then we would move forward. And I went through 3 cycles of 2 years before I decided that in order to be a better asset, I needed to come and learn more about how I could do a more successful intervention and monitor it myself, because we did have Berkeley come, we did have UChicago come, but the reality is they don't know how to navigate these places. I had someone of Indian background who couldn't speak Hindi at all and was completely lost from Berkeley, come and they just did case studies, which are just qualitative, and that is not that useful. You can do that. You know, you can write up the stories of the people that you work with. And so what you really need is somebody that's actually going to come in and say, okay, here are the academic standards in which I'm going to do these measurements. And there are a lot of partnerships that you can pursue, like McKinsey or GE, which will often do these things for you. And I encourage you, and I'm happy to provide resources on that. We also had them come. But when I came back to the US, my intention was to go to grad school to be better at that so I could come back and do the programs. And then the pandemic hit. So I ended up working in research labs for 2.5 years, on 2 in Berkeley and 1 at ASU. And I'm still working with my ASU professor because he's a mentor. And that's another thing I encourage you all to please, you know, find your mentors and ask them to be mentors. It doesn't matter who they are. It just somebody who that, you know, touches you. But I decided that after I dropped out of academia because I thought this is just as siloed as what I've been doing. So I've been working. Melissa, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to make sure we get to the other stuff that you are.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I hope I'm answering your question, Antonio. So my basically my work with Better Together America is specifically with the US, and it's about community building. What I am also doing is working on building a technology portal that can be used for grassroots measurements by the average person and is not a crazy data visualizations. Yeah. So that is what I hope to eventually put back into the world.
Yeah, and when we were writing this Gates Foundation grant most recently, we did not have
the lever change, right?
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Same here, did it too. Yep.
We'll see. We'll see. We didn't have satisfactory ways of tracking our results. We came up with data that was accurate, but we hadn't been rigorously following our data and cultivating it. Unfortunately, because we've been at this for decades and we could have.
Yeah.
And so we'll revisit that with you down the road. But for those of you who are just starting out, and I'm thinking of Upijata in particular, I feel like it's important to keep data and learn how to tell the story of how many people's lives were changed and in what ways and what genders and all the things. So let's keep going in how to tell our story, because gathering data is one important way.
It is, yeah. And there's another tool that I'll drop in called Skim, which you can use. Just start right now, and I recommend start now. And then you can also use that for your story and talk about, okay, it's been great to see this transition over the past several months, you know, which is on Google Sheets and it's free. So I will also be sharing Skim, and I should be making notes on this. Yeah, so any other questions on, or let me ask this, do people generally see the value of telling your own story, despite how hard that might be?
We have to brag. I hear that from nonprofit.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have to say brag even, you have to toot your horn, and it's taken me years to feel okay with that. I'm just gonna say. Imposter syndrome is real, and it affects women a lot. Yes, learning how to be able to toot your horn in a way that is genuinely you doesn't in my personal thing, it doesn't feel performative. So like you can see I have these earring, whatever. I mean, when I first started, I would try to make myself according to whatever container I thought would be more presentable. And now at my age, I think, you like it or not, I know what I have to give the world. And I think just being able to recognize what you have. So that is part of what I'd like to move into is, so I had dropped the Google Doc in, as I see a lot of you are in it, and so I would love to start if you guys can go ahead and with your, in the first part, if you can put your name and affiliation if you feel comfortable, but mostly to get a sense, can you choose a number from 1 to 5, with 1 being gee, I really don't feel comfortable on social media. I just don't even use it. I don't have somebody that uses it. And 5 being, wow, yeah, this is nothing new to me. And take about 1.5 minutes or something like that to fill that out. And you should have edit access. And I will drop it in the chat again just to make sure that we're all aligned.
Alyssa, would you be okay with me screen sharing just what we're all looking at for the sake of our folks?
Oh, I would, of course, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You can. And then I also just want to acknowledge that sometimes and often our leaders don't have access to full screens like computers, so people are often working on
Yes.
their phone. If you're on your phone and this is feeling stressful, we are here to work with the different access points, including you can write something into our WhatsApp chat and I'm happy to pop it in there for you. You're leaving. We love you. Thank you.
Bye, Erica. Please reach out about
You could jump in. I know Erica has work that she needs to.
So in that case, we're a small group. So why don't, if we're okay, if you can put it in, but if you cannot, you can go ahead and say your name and say your number, if that's okay. Do people feel all right with that? Okay, so all right, I can start. Alyssa Newland. I'd say I'm about a 4.5 because things are changing so fast that I'm always learning. So it's the engaging tab.
Here we
Yeah.
are.
So, and I'm going to put my affiliation as being, you know, so I've also been this been associated with the Coalition of Adolescent Girls, a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to put my affiliation as being more related to what the work that we're talking about now. So
Cool. And again, if you want to pop it in the chat or say it out loud or pop it on our WhatsApp thread, just a way of us all bringing our voices in.
I think it'd be awesome if you, Alyssa, stated the prompt one more time, just for those
sure.
Who are watching.
Yeah, so the prompt is that, and thanks for I can see everyone populating this, that what is your name and affiliation? And I say affiliation just because I don't want to say, some of you may be starting, as I heard from you earlier, starting your own initiative now, or you're moving towards something else or something like that. And I hate the question, what do you do? So then the second part is choose a number from 1 to 5, and 1 being and about your how comfortable you are in your how much your organization uses social media and how comfortable you are, really. And I put 4.5. And I see Yolanda put 5 from Abijat Arts. Is that correct? I hope.
Ubijata.
And Abijata Arts. And so then I'm seeing I'm seeing several 4s, which is great, very interesting. And Sarita, you're at a 2, even though you're webinaring here. So very interesting. So I think that brings in the question of what is social media or self-promotion, really. Thank you for putting that. And Mariah, we'll see you in a minute. So So that's good. Thank you for this. I'm curious as to, and so I'm curious to hear from some of you and why you put the numbers that you did. So if you don't mind, would love to pick on a couple of you to ask you. Okay. Dorta, could you tell us why you put a 4?
I feel comfortable. I got the hang of Instagram, for example. I don't like
sure.
using it, but I know how it works. I know what I have to do. I find it frustrating. And the follower number gets me always going. Like I'm always concerned about numbers, how
Oh,
many
yeah.
reach, and then sometimes I spiral because it takes me an hour to write something, and then like 100 people read it, and I feel like it's not worth my time. So I have
Yes.
a love-hate relationship with social media. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. And if you don't mind, I'd like to address that because you brought up several really great points. One of them is we have a limited amount of time, but if you look down on the social media fact sheet bell, for some reason it says that. But I think we all need to be conscious about who we're targeting and what platform we're using. So I've spoken a lot about LinkedIn, but you mentioned Instagram. And Instagram is, they all have their own uses. They all have different people that use them, but they also, for instance, the work that I do, I don't have a lot of content. So if I were to use Instagram, it would be not helpful. The other thing about Instagram is that how many times do you see a post on Instagram and you actually write or engage with it? Oh, thank you, Sarita. I mean, let me just ask this to the group. Does anybody interact, and maybe you like the Instagram post, right? Maybe you like it, but do you ever interact with it? Yeah. Most people don't. And if they do, they'll say something troll-like or something that is not necessarily helpful. So that brings us to cross channel strategy. And so sticking to one channel itself is one, probably not the best use of your time. And 2, Instagram is also probably not the best use, especially if you're going to do a long form, like written thing, like you're discussing. Then you want people to interact with you. You want people to say, I disagree, or whatever, or reshare. And the other thing Instagram doesn't really do is resharing. They've had some recent clever with threads. You might notice when you're going through Instagram, which tends to be a millennial used platform, and most people just scroll. That's what they do. So, or they engage with ads. So that is the other use, but they've had some recent things with threads where you might happen to see a couple threads pop into your thing and it'll say, why don't you check this out? And then you have to press on it, which brings you to threads, which is a different type of platform altogether. It's a short form, very high, more highly interactive, same as X or Twitter and now Blue Sky. The problem is Threads hasn't really taken off as much as Blue Sky has. Twitter still remains. So from Dorcas, I see that you put a 2. So thank you for that, Dorcas. So I think that to address your first point, that is exactly one of the things that I'd like to be speaking about is cross-channel promotion. You don't want to stick with one. And you also, the other portion of today is talking about, if we get to it, personas and targeting. So who are you trying to reach? And what type of engagement are you trying to get? That could also mean, again, if you're trying to reach a bunch of elderly people that, you want them to share it with their friends, which is called peer-to-peer marketing, then you would probably want to use Facebook, which is a long form. It tends to attract boomers and Gen X and a little bit older. A lot of them, yeah, it is it's long form, so people like my dad will spend a ridiculous amount of time, typing their response. So if you want engagement like that, you want a long form. LinkedIn also has what's called Pulse, and that is basically a blog. And that's another reason why and I have a portion here on LinkedIn, and but it also has long form responses where people engage. Usually the engagements are not as rich as Facebook or, otherwise, but the option to reshare is really crucial, and reshare with quotes especially. So, and then your second point, Dorte, was again I think it was cross-channel promotion, and the what type of content you're putting out there. So if you're putting pictures, or you have a lot of pictures, which I did when I was in the Girl Icon Fellowship, people respond, they will like that. But I want to also tell you that the likes, all that stuff, it'll take a little bit to build, and sometimes your engagement, so the lowest, it depends on the platform and the algorithm, but say taking Twitter, the lowest level is like. The highest level is retweet with a quote. So that's what you want. You don't really care so much about, so you have to put it in perspective. And all of these channels, they all have backends where you can see the analytics and see what is performing well. That's another metrics data thing. And that should help you see, like, you can see that in LinkedIn, in Instagram even. What have you put out there that people liked? And then that will allow you to do more of that. But I highly recommend that, especially if you're doing writing, which is great and a really good way of building your narrative and as a thought leader. And that's what I recommend for you, is LinkedIn and potentially Facebook. And then if it's okay, I'd like to pick on, I was thinking, so I'd like to pick on Mariah, if that's okay, Mariah. Yeah. You put 3 to 4.
I mean, I think I know it, but I don't like it.
Well, see, this is what we started with, right? I think a lot of times when I tell people that, like, oh, my work involves, having to, because technically all of our work should involve us promoting what we do and using social media. And people will say, oh, well, I don't do that. I don't like social media. And I'll think, wow, it's great that you don't have to like social media, but I do, because I need to promote my work. I need to promote what I'm doing. And I need to, especially for LinkedIn, in my role right now, as, doing a lot of partnerships work, I need to be able to connect to people that will get me other places, visibility, connectors, funders, all that stuff. And so, no, I don't want to be on social media. I was reading something in the middle of night last night that said that just having your phone near your bed makes you less able to sleep. And as a Waldorfian, you understand that very well. But I think thinking about it as a necessary evil, unfortunately, is, and actually maybe trying to twist that into that it's for good. It's marketing for good. And so you being able to do this when other people cannot really, really helps. And I also think that once you get your strategy down, that it becomes more interesting and you're able to do more with it. Otherwise, it's just scrolling and you're like, why am I here? Or I'm also never been someone that just posts into the void. And so I always thought, like, what am I going to say? Just post, I'm feeling this today. And that's really not the method that we should all be using. An example of the type of post is, again, incredible to see what the girls have been doing over the past weeks. Here's some pictures. Or, I'm a poll. I'm interested, again, as much as you can get people to engage, so that you're known as being that person, that you're known and you're associated. When people think of your work, or they think of working with women or girls, they think of you. And that's what you want, because then you can help push that forward. So thank you, everybody. And so with that said, I think we kind of covered a little bit the potential pros and cons. How good are we on time?
Well, we'd love to have you the whole time. We're here for another 20 minutes or 18 minutes.
Okay,
Willing.
happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't feel done at all. We could spend a month with you.
I know. Yeah, well, I'm happy to come back for sure. It
Yeah, we
helps.
want to drill down. I want to say, like, study each other. What Antonia's doing is very different than what Black Girls Rising is doing.
Yes.
And I think we can learn from each other what attracts you, what doesn't. When I said brag, what I really meant to do is celebrate. And there's also something about tell the truth. It's really
Yes.
imperative, I feel, that we find whatever's truly authentic for us. And I want to say that with this new whole government thing happening, that a lot of us kind of destabilized in terms of our relationship with Meta, and
Yeah.
understandably. And you mentioned, what is it called? Blue Sky.
Blue Sky, yeah.
People have moved over to Blue Sky, and a number of people have just stayed on IG and Facebook just to promote their work, but not to share their souls, and that they're putting
Exactly.
souls somewhere
Yes.
else. And these are all questions one has to ask and answer for ourselves. And sometimes I just can't do it. Like, a period of time comes and I just need a break. And none of us are in a yang posture all the time. And to give yourself time to just disappear, not completely, put a
Which
little,
is so hard.
but we really need to breathe in and breathe out. We're humans, we're embodied. And that's also where the teamwork can happen. And I will say that since we're in a Golden Girls Global platform, Mariah knows this, Antonia knows this, we have really missed an opportunity to work together. And it's a little bit heartbreaking to me. And we sure as heck tried. And I would love to revitalize that again, everybody, and figure out how we're going to come out of our solos and tell our story more powerfully, because we have such a beautiful story as a collective. And that's for another conversation. But there's a big
I
opportunity
agree.
in this right now. Yeah.
I don't think you've missed an opportunity, I want to say. I think that things are really changing. Again, I think you pointed this out about Meta, about these different, the people being able to say hateful things on all these platforms now has really changed how again, I as someone that my go-to is using LinkedIn. Thank you, Mariah. Thanks for coming. My go-to has always been using a 1-2 touch with LinkedIn and Twitter. So Twitter has genuinely been the, community forum. I love Mark Hamill, the person that plays Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. And my dream would be to have Mark Hamill respond to me. And Twitter is where it happened. So the point is that Twitter is a beautiful tool for reaching people that, hello, Yolanda. Twitter is a beautiful tool for, and it has been, and I would still fight against it being completely corrupted, but it is still a great tool for being able to access people from, who you would never think that you could access. What you do need, though, is a strategy. And I remember when I first started working with Twitter, and the strategy was, let's just tweet at people randomly. And that's not what you want to do. You want to have compelling, crafted messages. And this goes back to your narrative and the importance of it. You want to, and I'll use this word again, thought leadership. You want people to associate, you with being someone who puts thoughts into the universe that are creative, that are helpful. And as soon as they see your name ping up, they think, oh, wow, I want to read what they have to say. And so even though Twitter is currently going through its issues, it's still a very helpful platform, and it's very helpful people are now putting their Blue Sky accounts, I'd say, on LinkedIn. But often, when you're looking at LinkedIn and you see the contact portion, people put their other contacts. So what you're able to do is, and I want to say this really quickly, there's 2 keys that I want to just give you. Thank you, Dorte. I think Substack is great. I think that it's really blowing up, and I'm not sure about the collab. I think that it's good for sharing on things like LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, and then getting people to engage and bring, I think whatever you're doing, a blog, Substack, anything, then you want to be able to promote that. You want that to go out in the world. And that's what these are tools for. They are your tools. They are not you shouldn't be, they shouldn't be using you. You should be utilizing these beautiful tools that are connectors from across the world. I mean, I still connect to all my colleagues from India, from across the world. And where do I do it? I do it on LinkedIn. So when you ever, and I'm also very good at cold connecting. So whenever you're trying to get leads, whether it's for a connector, whether it's for funding, and a connector means somebody that could introduce you to people or is a collaborator or partnership, then whenever you click that connect button, you always want to write a note, a personalized note. Yes, so my profile is in the document that I shared, but what I can bring up quickly is, and I also shared several example profiles as well. So I'm happy to go ahead and, if you're able to share the screen, I'm happy to go ahead and just quickly go over this. Okay, so I'm just gonna start here because this is Blue Sky with this delightful picture that we can all enjoy, Cory Booker. And you can see it's the same, it might sound scary, but it has the same exact, it's made by the same person, Jack Dorsey, that made Twitter. What he did is he just ripped Twitter off and then just made it open source. So it seems a little bit intimidating, but it's not as intimidating. So here is LinkedIn. I wanted to show you this profile because this is my mentor from ASU. And I actually am behind his profile. He does not like promoting himself, despite, if you look at his CV, it's like, how did you do all this stuff? So I went through, I found the right photo, I did the right associations. You can see this featured section. So this section is something people underutilize, because what you can do here is you can actually put examples of your work or where you're featured in any news. And then activity, this is another thing. If I like somebody, then it'll show up here. If I like something that somebody's done. And then this here. So if I want to click and learn more about this is another key thing. So you should all have pages that connect to your work. These are very easy to set up. And I will quickly show you that so here's my feed. There's another, so the algorithm meaning how fast things come up on Twitter is very fast, meaning you could post quite a bit throughout the day and it wouldn't look like you're spamming. LinkedIn has a faster algorithm as well, but Facebook does not. Facebook has a slower algorithm that if you posted 20 times on Facebook, people would think, wow, they're really desperate. And so that's another key thing to keep in mind. But so let's go to my profile. And one of the things I wanted to highlight is whatever you put as your title. I encourage you, because you're all entrepreneurs, you're all to use unique and genuine titles to yourself. You don't have to say CEO of whatever. You can, and the more people that you go to who like this is the executive director that Melissa Jacob. So you can see he put, again, what he does. And it's how you identify. So in other workshops, what I've done is ask people to think up several ways that they would labels they would like to identify beyond your work. Are you a strategist? Are you a compulsive collaborator, like I say? And the second thing is to think of at least 4 achievements that if you just had to write, just what would the top 4 achievements be, not even related to your work, but that helps you to build out a narrative. Because the narrative doesn't have to just be about your work. And you can see, I highly recommend that you have a bio, whether it's long or not. But you know, you can see that he doesn't talk about, I'm not sure, he doesn't talk so much about what the Mediators Foundation, he talks about himself and he talks about his past work. This is your chance to just say, this is what I've done, or this is what I believe in. So for me, and you can also see this here, the analytics portion. This is because this is my profile, I can see all, and you can see this for your page as well. I can see all these people who have done this. So what I wanted to impress upon you is your network. So when you click this and I can see these people, and the reason why I haven't accepted them is because I want to pay attention to each person. As soon as you accept them, see this guy has a message, it becomes automatically a message. So that's what I was talking about. So if I go to this person, this is what I call knock on the door. And this is in the document that I shared with you about how you utilize your LinkedIn profile. But she can see that I came to look at her profile. And almost always they will, you'll come back and see, okay, well, I would like to see why this person looked at my profile. So usually people who will give you at least 2 seconds, they'll look at it. So what you want to have here is, again, she has a great background. I love that. Stanford stands out immediately. This seems very cool. Connected Learning Lab. What's that? Right? And then you go and you see what this is. So, or what, so, and that's why your page matters. But if I were to try to connect with her, and don't worry, because I don't know who she is, I'm not going to connect with her, but it's this button right here is really important. You want to add a note. And it needs to be, and how do you draft that? Well, look at their profile and see if there's something that is that you connect and you resonate with. This person just decided to say their specialties on the bottom. I always recommend you say something personal about yourself as well. Again, be your true, genuine self. Your bio can be whatever you want it to be. Hopefully not hateful, but the beauty about LinkedIn is that it's a pretty sacred space in terms of professional interactions. You don't see it's frowned upon for people to make weird personal comments here. And people will actually say, stop it, what are you doing? So you can see this guy, Chris Crawford, is promoting his work at Protect Democracy. So again, his title is Political Strategist, Free and Fair Elections at Project Democracy. You have the power to create your title and say whatever you want. I would say most of you do, and celebrate your work. So this is Matt, who I work with, and he's saying, congratulations to the finalists. This is him promoting what he does, and that's you promoting your work. This is just as easy as, and if I like it, look, I can do these different, I'm going to celebrate it because I think that's great. Congratulations to Matt. And then what happens is, so looking at your network and your connections, what happens is there are 3 layers. So let me go to Sophie. So Sophie is my first connection. So that means we have directly connected. We both accepted and said, please be part of my network. But then if I click here under the connections, you can see all the people that are connected to her. These are all the people that we are both connected to. But if you look at the second, well, this is when it starts to get more interesting, because those are the people that are one connection away from me. And so with your feed, if I like this Chris Crawford post, then people can see that, especially if you comment or repost with, and you can also comment as your page. So that means you can, again, highlight your work as yourself. And you can do all this from your phone. So this is, again, the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is, and I have listed on the doc that I shared, these different portions that I recommend you look at. But if you go down here, you can see who the interests, who am I following? Then you can see companies that I'm interested in. But this one here is the real beautiful one. It's groups. Most people don't utilize those. So let's say I have targeted, and this is my co-founder, Drin. I want to connect to Drin. So what I can do is, one, go to his, and he's on my list of people's profiles I was going to show you, because you can see Drin really talks with his heart. So he's a good example of, like, he's been doing this since he was 19 years old, and this is his life, is actually working with adolescent girls. But if you go to his groups, you can see, oh, well, he's in these groups, and that might help you connect to him, because once you're in a group, then what happens is you can actually speak to the person whether you're connected or not. And that's another thing, is you can promote your work and your effort. So groups like this, I highly recommend that you join, because people can see that you're here, and you can also see different opportunities for you and stuff like that. So that's my quick tips, I would say. And there's plenty of other stuff to be said, obviously, but yeah.
I want to just thank you. There's so much there. It can feel so overwhelming and daunting and necessary, unnecessary. And I know you all well enough to know the many minds that are fast at work here. And the thing that I turn towards is my dear friend Alan Rudner in Australia used to talk about stages of development, and there's learning, then there's building, and then there's being. And every one of you are in the building phase. And
Yes.
we're given the life force. It's around the full moon of our lives. And we all have to make our own choices about what is our scope of practice, what is our reach, what is our aspiration around that, and then devote ourselves to that practice. And this is just like, okay, I'm scheduling X number of hours a week, and I'm willing to give it that much, and I'm going to do it consistently and take it where it goes. And we've seen certainly some of our colleagues do really powerful work on this kind of a platform, and others. I think of Jenny Gershader, who never uses it. By the way, Mark Gerzon never used it till Alyssa came into his life. And
He's still frustrated.
I think about, yeah, I mean, he looks at me like I'm from another planet when I'm on Facebook. I'm always sending him things, and then we at night look at it together from IG. And then there's Renee, who has over 50,000 followers. So it's really, there's not a right or wrong, but it is about getting clear coherence and then figuring it out. And you all are in the building phase, and the payoff is great, actually.
Yeah.
And to
And I
trust.
think
Go ahead.
if you look at the document I shared, there's also a portion that we didn't get to about personas and targeting, right? So to Melissa's point as well, if you look at some of the data of where, like, I would recommend building like several different personas. I think of them as people, give them names. What do they do? Where are they going? What's their drive? And then after that, look at how you would think about how you would reach them. So it can be totally different. Again, Substack is a really excellent resource, and it could be promoted through so many different ways. It just depends on you. So everyone I know is not on LinkedIn, as Melissa said. That's just my most effective way of going. But there are, and again, don't worry about the followers, think about what you're putting into the world and how you're doing that in the most genuine way that you can be, because you want to be comfortable at the end. I have one personal closed social, and that's Instagram. Otherwise, I don't put anything personal into my socials. Maybe a picture of that, but that's because that's not for my personal life. That's for promoting, the work and the people that I do. That's how I section it. And yes, you should take a specific amount of time. I recommend half an hour a day on your phone if you just like rant, go through and like and whatever. That's a start. And yeah. So, but your personal brand and your narrative and your bio, that's also a mega important thing that is your core. So
Alyssa, we're at time and there's so much that stirs. And I want us to come to some kind of a close, which is more, please. Let's start with that. More, please. And we'll figure out how we can work with you in a really grounded way as people request different things. I want to
please
also
share.
remind us all that we are here deconstructing the patriarchy. And one of the tools of the unconscious patriarchy inside each of us is the comparison game. And so I just want us all to take a breath and realize that we are not here to be like anybody else. We will never get as many likes as somebody. We will never blow it up like Alyssa, because this is Alyssa's field of practice. And that
That's my nerd area.
there are people out there who have a big following who are just throwing nothing of soulful content into the field. That's not who we are. And let's just keep orienting towards the soul, which moves slowly, which moves in an embodied way, which has a heart wide open and cares deeply about the collective. And you brought so many principles that are very valuable about how to tend to the collective. And just trusting that we can be who we are and find our way into the world in ever more effective and hopefully ever more supported ways. And Yolanda's, both Yolanda's, we're so glad you're here from North and South, and you, Antonia, from Namibia, and you, Dorcas, from Ghana. And we know that just even getting internet access is a privilege, and we're so glad you're here. And Dorte, your fire is so potent, and I feel where you're trying to go, and thank you for the depth of what you're bringing to that. And Sarita, as always, I mean, you're a beautiful role model of how to use social media. You just bring these robust, big posts and then you disappear. But you just really remind us of the quality of who you are and your warm heart in how you show up. And Alyssa, thank you. I'm inspired.
Thank you for having me.
I want to talk more. And thank you for what you've done with your life, because as I keep wanting to say Namibia, as Antonia asked, like, who are you? How did you go from all this work with girls to being such a badass
It's very nice of you.
And Antonia, there's seeds for your future in that. Actually, I want to say there's something for you in that.
Oh, yeah. Please, the other thing is that it's not just social media, it is your local newspaper. It is your actual, like if you, I've been on the radio, like it is whatever resources you have available to increase the visibility and your message. What is your message to the world? As genuine as I can. And I totally agree with Melissa that just blasting things off is not me. I can't fake that. So I just encourage you to whatever way that you want to do, be genuine to yourself. And also, please do give feedback and look at the document, because I did provide a couple other things that you might find interesting, but look outside of social media, because yes, I've been there with the dongles and the internet access, and yeah, we do what we can, but we're not the big guys. And you just have to, I be good with where you are at now. So
would everybody give one word as you're leaving, what your closing word is, so Alyssa can feel us? We'd love to give you a shape. Let's all come onto screen if you can and just give Alyssa a little bit of energy. And the words, everybody on mute, and let's just give Alyssa a word of what we're taking with us.
Inspired.
Marketing is good.
There's all the little people in Rio.
Inside.
Beautiful. Thank you. Hi, little pumpkins. They're in Rio.
Grateful. Thank you.
Respect.
Grateful.
Okay. Mwah. Mwah.
Thanks,
Alyssa,
everyone.
your
Yeah.
closing word.
Yeah, reinvigorated.
Beautiful.
So thank you all.